So good morning, everybody. Let me see how many people are here. Okay. This is Julia So from UNM Valencia campus. UNM, the University of New Mexico, is in the state of New Mexico. We are a Research One university. I work at the branch campuses that operate similar to a community college. So we are essentially a recruiting arm for the main campus. So next, I have to cut off some because of the time. Okay, so a little bit about UNM Valencia. We are a Hispanic serving institutions situated in a rural community. We have about 2,000 students. 60% of them are female and 65 on financial aid. So clearly, we have our own challenges at our campus with the students that we serve, because many of them need remedial courses, but also they also face many non-academic barriers, like family situations, many situations. So on an average, 20% of our students, after 5 years, they transfer to a 4-year university. And the completion rate of any associate programs are like 5 years or so. Next screen, please. So this is our beautiful campus. I put the map there so people would know. A lot of individuals, what I learned is they don't even know where New Mexico is. They thought New Mexico is part of Mexico. That's why I put the map up there. Next screen, please. So today's objective is really to talk about the challenges in program assessment for community college, not so much for 4 years. And one assessment model that I have been using at UNM Valencia. So, and I also would like to get some input from the participant to see what can be improved. Next, please. So, talking about challenges in community college because of the transient nature of our students, they come and go. In part is because we have open admissions, but also because mostly of their age group. Many of our students are they come to us right out from high school. So they're still exploring their options in life, what are their interests and whatnot. So they change majors. And also in terms of program assessment from a community college perspective is like, what do we want to assess? What is the purpose of our program assessment? Again, adding to that layer is there are so many multiple models in program assessment. Next, please. So most of the time, if I have my choice, I would start with here, the curriculum mapping and syllabus analysis. Now, if anyone who's not familiar with this, just let me know and I will address your question at the end of the session, if you don't mind. Next, please. Other example of models would be like tracking number of graduates that the program produces, or tracking the number of transfer to 4-year university. As well, the second one would be many industry, they have their own certification examination. So we can actually have a conversation with industry, private companies, and see how many of the employed are coming from our campus. Now, we can also do an alumni survey to see how they're doing after they graduate, but also employer survey. All this takes time and as well as takes money. Now, internally, we can do a capstone course or a portfolio evaluation, depends on the nature of the program. The next one, please. So what I want to share with all of you is the associate degree in criminology. I inherited the program in 2018. So of course, the first thing I want to do is to find out how many students program and how many students graduate. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is what people say cohort. 2016 cohort were 45, 2017 cohort were 44, and 40 for 2018. So just looking at these numbers, and when we say the program is pretty stable. However, what's missing is we are missing the term panel. So as next slide, please, I'll explain. Panel is really the number of students coming in that particular year. So I worked with our IR staff, went back to 2016 and pulled some data. So 2016, we have 25. The numeral in pink, that is the entrance students in that program for that particular year. And then, of course, if you look across year one, under 2017, we have another 25 that joined us. And then under 2018, we have 19 that joined the program. However, in 2016, we have 25 new students that entered the program. By the following year, only 9 left. And by year 3, only 2 left. So this is a huge opportunity or situation we're facing as like what happened. Next slide, please. So I proposed that to the IR folks that why don't we track students in a different way? Because it is an associate degree and students have to have at least between 30 to 32 what we call general education required courses and then the program core courses. On an average, most associate degrees require 60 hours. So that's what I plan to do. Next slide, please. So what we did is track them each year, the number of students that completed 33% of the core courses and 33% of the general ed. And I do 3 years because, like I said, I inherited the program 2018, right? So I track back 3 years and see what happened. Next slide, please. So it's like a historian. So when you look at this slide now, this is 2016 panel, 25 students that entered year 1. So by the end of year 1, which means it's the spring of 2017, 7 of the 25 students completed 33%. 2 completed 66%, and 8 completed 100% of gen ed courses. But none, if you can tell, none completed any of the core courses. So that's a huge question mark in my head. Next slide, please. So we're looking at year 2 now. Obviously, some students had already left because by year 2, only 3 students completed 66% and 4 students completed 100%. And then we have 1 student that completed 33% of the core course. So that means from 25, we are down to 8 by year 2. Next slide, please. So this is year 3. Look at it, I only have 2 students left. And the one that completed 33% of the core course was no longer on campus. So it really created a huge puzzle to us as to what happened. And the IR folks say, why don't we look at those that left and see what happened? And I flip the coin and I say, why don't we look at those who stay and see what we are doing right? Next slide, please. So following our IR folks exploring why student levels, these are just some of the reasons, okay? Mostly because they need more time for the gen ed because many of the students, like I said, they need remedial courses. They cannot just come in and take English 101 or Math 101. Yeah, so that really delayed them in terms of taking gen ed courses. And others reasons being they need special advising. Advisors are not treating incoming freshmen differently, which now we learn, and we are really starting a whole new program to do this, advising. And then students have other responsibilities there because we are Hispanic serving institutions. So family is extremely important for the students. And sometimes they may have to take care of a family member. So school got put on hold. Or I have students that, my car won't start, I cannot come to campus. Or they didn't have enough money to pay for the internet, so the internet was down. There's multiple various reasons This is what we call non-academic barriers. Next slide, please. So in general, these are the reasons for attrition. If you look into the literature, this is very common. Students change majors, they transfer and without letting us know, or they left Valencia for personal reasons, they become a parent. This is very close to them, but if we don't know, we don't know, right? And then, of course, unexpected transportation issues that I mentioned earlier. And they did not have the opportunity to acquire the skill to prepare for college. And the last two was they were not mentored. This is the key, they were not mentored. And some of them were discouraged because shifting from high school to college is a big jump for them, particularly for minoritized students, and some of them feel disenfranchised. They feel they don't belong, so they just left quietly. That's the sad part. Next slide, please. So when I look at the success stories, those that stay, these are some of our students that graduated. Yeah, I have several that actually move on and earn their master's degree in social work, and now they're working. Yeah, I have one that finished a criminology BA at main campus and now is working at a local nonprofit agency, the Family and Children Agency. I have one that graduated and decided to move on to get his secondary education. So now he's teaching in a local high school. And then another one decided to shift from criminology to a bachelor degree in accounting and now is working for FBI. So these are the success stories. But when I dig into the success stories, I learned something very important. Next slide, please. So really, we means the entire campus. So this is a learning journey for all of us at Valencia. So we utilize a case management model. We focus on mentoring. And we really just build one-on-one relationship with students, okay? We started organizing co-curriculum activities because it's a criminology major. So we take students field trip to FBI, to the local police academy, so they can connect the real world with the subject matter studied in school. So from my end, I actually started a ISSOTL reading club on campus because I was thinking, students spend at least 2.5 hours in the classroom. The instructor is critical. Whether the instructor is creating a welcoming atmosphere in the classroom, we're talking about classroom culture. So the ISSOTL Reading Club started summer of 2018. And by spring of 2019, I transformed and launched this ISSOTL Reading Club campus-wide rather than just for social sciences. Because social sciences is the division that I manage. And every month, what we read was evidence-based articles on classroom management, active learning, student engagement. So kind of like try to rally the faculty in our campus to buy into ISSOTL, to understand the importance of evidence-based teaching methodology. And I also collaborated with the academic advisors to make sure that when they sign up students, put the same majors in the same class. So help students to build camaraderie, they can build friends and talk about their future dreams. This is very, very important. And last year, our campus, we received a Title III grant, and it's really about pathways. So right now we're in the middle of designing pathways, guided pathways. So the whole college is really excited about this because everybody's involved. Student services, instructors, every aspect of a student's life on campuses will be touched. So this is very exciting. Next slide, please. Now, I understand and I recognize how I assess the model is not the best model, but that's the best I could do when I inherited the program. I really want to see the outcome, but there are multiple ways of measuring the model. So I need to address this. The model's weakness is I assume. So when I assume something, it would take me to the next step is to alignment. So when I did this, I assumed that the program outcome aligns with the course learning outcome. I also assumed that the program outcome aligns with institutional learning outcome. And then another weakness is really, I did not track the number of courses of gen ed or core courses. I tracked 33%, 66%. But if I track number of courses, I may have a different outcome. So of course, like I said earlier, I explained that why I did it 3 years. And we may want to do 5 years because that's the average graduation rate in Valencia. So we will see. And of course, I only look at one panel, the 2016 panel. I may want to expand the number of samples and look at all the students in the program. Next slide, please. So this is what I meant in terms of alignment. We have institution learning outcomes that align with program, that align with gen ed, that align with course learning outcome. At this point at Valencia, we have to report to main campus our course learning outcome, our gen ed learning outcome, and our program learning outcome, which is boiled down to program assessment. We haven't done institutional learning outcome alignment yet, but that would be the next step. All this would take time. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me. I think I'm going to the last few slides. Yeah, so this is really moving forward. What I plan to do is look at all the courses and then look at the course description and the syllabus. Analyze the syllabus in terms of learning outcomes, assessment to use in the course, and see whether it aligns with the program. This is a huge undertaking, as well as the curriculum. Is the description of the course align with the program? Are we graduating students meeting the industry need? All these are big questions, but we feel like we need to take a step-by-step approach to solve all this. Yeah. So this is future down the road, maybe 2 years down the road. One step at a time. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is my workshop evaluation, but let me stop there before we go there. I have 25 minutes. I ran very fast. Why don't we leave the slide here? And because I uploaded a copy of the PowerPoint in the attachment, so all of you have a copy. And then the references for this workshop is in the last page. And my contact is also in the slide. With this, let me see, I'm hearing, okay, this says nothing. My question is, have you considered e-portfolio as a tool for students to connect PLO across curriculum and co-curriculum? No, this is news to me. I would love to learn more about that. E-portfolio, I'll write it down, yeah. Let's have a conversation. This is what I want to have, a conversation, because sharing of great minds with everybody. So I toss out other team activities because of the time, but that's okay. Janelle, you have something to say.
No, I was just turning on my screen so I could help you out here if we need to.
Hey.
But Gavin will not use his microphone because it's too early. What time is it there?
Yeah. So I'm just curious, those who are here in this session, what kind of program assessment do you use? It doesn't matter whether you are at a 4-year university or 2-year community college. I just want to make sure I did not miss any program assessment tools out there. Melissa, you have a hands up.
I was going to ask about your syllabi analysis. Are your syllabi constructed by individual instructors? And partly I ask because we did kind of a similar program review at a department level at our university, and one of the things we found is that the syllabi needed a lot of work. Our instructors had not really been trained in how to make really effective learning outcomes, and the syllabi didn't always accurately reflect like the main competencies and skills that students were taking away. So before we could kind of do a syllabus analysis, we had to get all the instructors kind of training and redoing their syllabi. And I'm just wondering, will that be an issue for you, or have you already gone through that process?
It is a huge undertaking. At our campus alone, we have certain elements, and it is in our faculty handbook, elements of syllabus that a professor has to input, has to put in that, like simple things like office hour, course description, course learning outcomes, how to assess the learning outcome in terms of distribution and percentage of grade relative to the entire course, and then the schedule. In fact, in my division, I am asking all the instructors to do a course map. So with a course map, it really helps everybody, even students. The course map is for students. So we have the course outcome. The next column will be the unit outcome, learning outcome, and then the next column will be the module outcome or the week outcome, and then how do we assess this? So we have learning activities, and then learning materials, and then assessment of the learning. And how would a student know that they acquire at least 80% of what we attempt to teach them? So it's really for students, I call it a map to success. So that was it. Now going back to your syllabus, so outside of all those critical elements that we require all the faculty members of Valencia to do, and then others would be really like, have you heard of fluid syllabus? It's a very interesting concept. So fluid is really, we have instructors that actually created a website for the course. So as long as student had a link, they can go to the website and see what is needed and what they need to be done. Things like that, yeah. So in terms of syllabus, you may want to start with one course, because a course you have several sections. So start with one course first and get the instructors together and talk about, have them discuss what needs to be in the syllabus. I truly believe that if we get everybody's input, our faculty own it, rather than I, as a chair, mandate it. So the approach is rather different. I hope I answered your question, Melissa.
Yes, thank you.
You are welcome. So when you match syllabus with course, with program outcome, essentially you just look at the course description, whether it tap into the program's description. And then for curriculum mapping, that is a little bit more intense, because then you're talking about what textbook we're talking about, the topic that we are going to cover for the next 16 weeks. We go by 16 weeks. And do they all align with eventually the program outcome? Yeah. So it's a lot of work, but I believe at the end of it, it's well worth it. Last year, I launched a criminal justice program. So before I launch it, I have all the instructors come and just share idea, what do they think about their course that they're teaching relating to the criminal justice. Do they align? Do they see some kind of misalignment, and what can be done in terms of their course? So it's really, we can do top down or we can do bottom up. But what I'm thinking is really we do it both ways. So hopefully we can meet in the middle. Do you use reflective learning tools? Absolutely, yes. It might be really useful, especially during the career relevant, yes. For the courses I teach, I do that all the time. The biggest challenge is encouraging other faculty to use reflective learning journal for their students. You know, it can be something as simple as 1 minute paper at each session or a unit journal at the end of the unit, but at least it really helps students to cultivate their critical thinking, but also connecting what they're learning in class to the industry. Yeah, I'm a big advocate for reflective learning. If you have a Gmail account, then use your phone and do the QR code, and it will take you to the Jamboard, Google Jamboard, and just input. There are 2 pages in there. Just input your opinion about this workshop. If you don't, then I probably will send you the link here. I put it in the chat, and then you do the link. Would that work for you? So I put it in the chat. You click the link and take you to Jamboard, and then you can type whatever you want. And this is done anonymously, so you're not hurting my feeling. Everything that I do, I really want to evaluate and get some feedback. So it doesn't matter, yeah. As long as I'm just asking for your honest feedback. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.